As a doctor, I'm here to tell you that the path to an actually healthy lifestyle is both simple and attainable, and I'm gonna lay it out for you in 5 basic steps. But don't be fooled, you will hear a lot of wellness influencers tell you that a healthy lifestyle is complicated, it is not intuitive, it is hidden behind a mountain of science, and in order to actually live a healthy lifestyle, you have to pay them. This is a lie. And it's a powerful lie because people spend money on wellness products. It is a $1.8 trillion industry. But the truth is that a healthy lifestyle is not only not complicated, it can actually be enjoyable. And I guarantee that some of these things you are already doing. I want you to remember that as we talk about these 5 steps, or what I think of as 5 pillars of wellness, it is not mandatory to overhaul your life all at once. We are all about small, sustainable changes here. And even working on one of these domains in a small way can have big impacts on your health. Also, I'm going to be doing deeper dives into each of these 5 pillars, so make sure to subscribe if you want to follow along. The first pillar I'm going to be talking about is sleep. And this isn't only because it is an independent predictor of our overall health, but also because if you're not getting good quality, sufficient sleep, you're not going to be as likely to stick to the small, healthy habits that I'm going to talk about that involve other things like nutrition and movement. Adults with chronically insufficient or fragmented sleep can experience impaired memory, mood, reaction time, cognitive issues, as well as a higher risk of dementia, weight gain, cardiovascular issues, and even have a higher likelihood of premature death. The recommended number of hours we've probably all heard before is 7 to 9 hours, but this can be highly individual. I'm someone who needs more like 9, but don't go too much over 9 because that is also associated with an increased risk of all-cause mortality. My top tips for sleep include minimize bright overhead lighting and screens for at least an hour before bedtime because these lights suppress melatonin, which is our natural sleep hormone. Also, take a hot shower an hour before bed. This will actually lower your core temperature, paradoxically. That helps with sleep. Write a to-do list for the next day so you're not up at night worrying about it, and maybe even try sleep meditation. I'm a huge fan of meditation, as we will talk about in one of the upcoming pillars. Next, we have to talk about nutrition. Studies show that the number 1 cause of death and disability in the entire world is poor dietary habits, and that is especially true in the United States, where studies show that we are eating way too much ultra-processed foods, refined grains, sugar, and animal products. We know from study upon study that the most healthy dietary pattern to follow that will increase longevity and reduce your risk of cancer, heart disease, diabetes, and many other chronic diseases is a plant-based whole foods dietary eating pattern. What does this mean? I actually like to think about this in terms of the way that your plate should look, ideally. Half of the plate should be fruits and vegetables. A fourth of the plate should be proteins, ideally plant-based proteins as much as possible. And then the other fourth is whole grain. Keep in mind that there is a large distance between the standard American diet and what I'm describing right now. And even just inching a little bit more closer towards the method I'm describing and the plate that I just laid out is so helpful. You do not have to be perfect. One of the best types of small changes I advocate for is adding in something at first, like making sure that you are getting 2 more servings of fruits and vegetables every day than what you're currently getting. And then the next step would be doing some swaps. The 2 biggest swaps I highly recommend are number 1, replacing animal protein with plant protein, things like nuts, seeds, legumes. And the other big swap is replacing refined grains with whole grains, like switching from white rice, for example, to brown rice or quinoa, or from white bread to wheat bread, where the first ingredient is whole grains. I will talk a lot more about nutrition in my upcoming videos, but I will just leave you with this one amazing quote from the food writer Michael Pollan: "Eat food, mostly plants, not too much." Next, let's talk about movement. And I like to call it movement instead of exercise because to me, movement just sounds more fun and it needs to be something that you enjoy so that you actually do it. And I find that movement, much like food, has become way too trendy among wellness influencers who are promoting one specific type of movement or exercise and saying that others like HIIT are bad for you, like they raise your cortisol. Here's the bottom line. You have to pick something that you actually enjoy doing and aim to do about 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise per week. This could be something to where you are somewhat breathless, like dancing or brisk walking, or you can do 75 minutes per week of very vigorous exercise, something that really takes the wind out of you and that you can't hold a conversation at all. This could be something like HIIT, high intensity interval training. Tennis, running are other examples. And here's the other big important thing that a lot of people miss. You need to be doing strength training, ideally 2 times a week. Building and maintaining muscle is just so important for overall health. It has been shown to decrease the incidence of so many different chronic diseases. It helps support our bones. It helps prevent us from being frail in our older age. And there are even studies that show that it helps boost self-esteem and confidence. And please know that you do not have to do some complicated routine in the gym with fancy weights. You can do body weight exercises at home, like push-ups, squats. You can use resistance bands. Again, it does not have to be complicated. Pillar number 4 is socialization. I bet you did not see this one coming, but having positive social relationships in your life is absolutely crucial to overall health. And this is something that the wellness industry does not emphasize very much. And I think it's because you can't really sell it, but it's true. Studies show that social isolation is associated with a 50% increased risk of dementia, a 30% increased risk of cardiovascular disease and stroke, and a 25% increased risk of early death. In other words, it is incredibly dangerous, and investing in positive social relationships in your life is one of the most important things that you can do for your health. And you may think that you are most at peace when you spend all of your free time alone. I know that I'm tempted to do this sometimes, but trust me, for the vast majority of people, that is not the healthiest way to live. Last thing I will say, it does not matter what those social relationships look like. Don't let anyone tell you that it has to come from a traditional romantic partner or a nuclear family. If your best relationships are with neighbors, friends, coworkers, cousins, it doesn't matter as long as they make you happy and bring fulfillment to your life. And lastly, step number 5 is finding a stress management practice. This is so important in the world that we live in today. Living in our modern society can be stressful. This is a surprise to nobody. And it also is no surprise that stress can increase the risk of a lot of mental health issues like anxiety and depression. But it can also increase our risk of many physical health diseases. So long-term stress increases the risk of cardiovascular disease. It increases insulin resistance, which is the precursor to diabetes. The list goes on and on and on. And I really don't think that stress reduction practices have to be a one-size-fits-all approach. I love meditation. I think it is wonderful for me and for so many people. I understand if that's not everyone's jam. Although I do recommend that everyone try it. I get it if we don't all have time to meditate for 30 or 40 minutes a day, or if it's just not for you. There are so many other options. You could find stress reduction in making art, journaling, doing breathing exercises, making gratitude lists in particular. I find this is really, really helpful. And if you can afford it, I can attest that the biggest thing that has decreased my stress overall in a very meaningful, long-lasting way is therapy. And again, I'll talk about this so much more in an upcoming video because it's just so important. It has been such a game changer for me. To wrap up, the last thing that I will say is that after talking about all these pillars, I hope that you come away with this video with at least one SMART goal. What is a SMART goal? SMART goals are specific, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, and time-connected. For example, a SMART goal in the realm of socialization is that next week on Tuesday, I will take my grandmother out for lunch. And on Thursday, I will invite some friends out to go see a movie that I've been wanting to see. Setting vague goals for yourself, like, I just want to eat healthier or eat more plants, are not specific enough and they don't tend to work. And that's all I have for this video. I hope that this has been helpful. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to go deeper into any of these subjects. And of course, let me know whatever questions you have in the comments. Bye.